do more kirtan or question and answer?
Just thank you for kirtan every time.
Thank you for singing.
I think it was a special day. It was not a special day.
It's up to you guys. Like a few people are doing Guru Disciple course here,
So you have
maybe
questions?
they wanted to, if you have some questions, you can ask your questions, then we can do some kirtan.
Okay,
We can do
sure.
both.
So,
So
all of you have been doing the Guru Disciple course. Also, you've obviously been here for quite some time, and yeah, maybe you have some questions. This is very informal, and is it very informal or is it formal?
Who is doing Guru Disciple course?
Yeah.
So 4. Yes.
So maybe you have questions on that, or you have questions on Krishna consciousness in general, or maybe there are certain things which are maybe difficult for you to understand or grasp. Maybe you want some more clarity on it. Yeah, so we can have an open forum and be very wow, there's like a whole game going on here. We can have a discussion. Yeah, go for it.
I wanted to ask about the guru who's taking the karma of the devil when you have a spiritual master, so it's kind of taking your karma. That's what I understood. And so what is the consequences on the guru disciple when they take the karma, and what karma especially is taking? And what about if the disciple doesn't respect the four principles?
Yeah.
What is the consequences for the guru?
Yeah, so the guru is taking the karma of the disciple. Of course, that should be understood in context. The guru is not like a big incinerator of karma. You understand? Like incinerator? It's like an oven of fire that burns up everyone's karma. However, it's like this. Someone who's a guru is very deep in their devotion and very deep in their commitment in their spiritual practice. And therefore it's said that the fire of their devotion is very, very powerful. And therefore, out of compassion, someone who's a guru wants to help many others. And therefore they take that position, they take that responsibility to say like, I will try to help this person also achieve perfection. And to some extent then the guru takes the responsibility that if there is some discrepancy, if there is some mistake on the part of the disciple, then the guru will cover that. However, the guru-disciple relationship remains as long as the disciple is following the vows. So it's not that if someone gets initiated and then they stop following the vows and do all kinds of things, that the guru is going to continue taking the karma, because then the relationship is somewhat not there. The connection is not there in that sense. Because the connection with the guru is through the vows. So, as long as a disciple is following and as long as a disciple is sincere, then if there is some mistake, because there can always be mistakes, even when one has good intention, so then it's said that the guru will cover that up by their devotion. However, if one becomes completely neglectful, that's a different thing. So it should be understood in context. Yeah? The relationship is based on the strength of the commitment that is made on both parts. So the guru is committed to the disciple, but the disciple must also be committed to the guru, and the commitment is shown through the adherence to the vows that they take. And if disciples do follow their vows generally, but still they're engaging in activities which are not which are not nice, let's just say like that, then because the relationship is there, then the Guru is taking some level of suffering. So that's a very big responsibility on the part of the disciple.
Can I ask another question? Sorry.
Yeah.
Is it scary for you, for example, to be a diksha guru, because it's a big responsibility for the guru, you're taking the karma, so sometimes it can be some consequences on you, you can be sick or I don't know. Is it I don't know. I mean, is it scary for you? For example, I know maybe you're gonna be diksha guru in 2 years, something like this. I heard.
That will be much more, if that's what the Vaishnavas want, but that will be much longer down the line, so leave me aside. But we'll talk in principle that that's what a saintly person does. That's what Srila Prabhupada did. He was ready. He was ready to undergo all difficulty to help others. I mean, Srila Prabhupada came off a ship on which he had 2 heart attacks. And if you would have 2 heart attacks and then land somewhere, the first thing you would probably do is go to the hospital and get it checked out. But Prabhupada didn't. He just had 2 heart attacks. Somehow he survived. He came off the ship. He went underneath a tree. He took a pair of kartals and he just started chanting Hare Krishna, because he was on a mission to help others. So, so that's what saintly people do. Saintly people are ready to take the suffering. Why? Because they see another suffering as their own. You see, it's hard to imagine, but imagine you have some suffering you're undergoing. What's your immediate reaction is to eliminate that suffering. It's you don't need to be told that. If Jay's suffering and then he puts a plaster on his finger because it's bleeding, we're not oh Jay, you're so compassionate to yourself. And it's obvious. He's in suffering, so obviously he's going to put a plaster. We don't think he's saintly because he does that. It's so obvious. So it's hard to imagine, but a saintly person feels another person's suffering to be just like their own. And so when they're undergoing suffering to help others, they don't even think oh my God, I'm going to suffer now. Am I really sure I want to do this? I don't know, it's going to be tough. It's just like one of us cutting our hand and putting a plaster on it. It's that natural. Hard to imagine. The Sanskrit term is para dukkha dukhi. They feel another suffering to be just like their own. And therefore, for them to be compassionate, they almost do it unconsciously, because they're at that level of evolved consciousness. So,
how does one know when someone is their guru? What are the defining factors? How can one be truly convinced that this person is going to be the guru? Because there's many options.
Most important is hearing. All of the devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement will inspire us. But as we hear many different devotees, then we'll connect with the presentation, with the words, with the Krishna consciousness of a particular personality. The things that they say, the way they present the philosophy, the inspiration that they generate within our heart, and the faith that they build within us through their words will make it very clear that this is a person who is the via medium of Krishna's message for me. So mainly it's done through hearing. And you know, it's a difficult question to answer because you'll just know it. It's like, it will become very, very clear. But the main thing is to listen very, very attentively. And then your questions will be answered, your doubts will be cleared, your faith will be built, and that person will inspire you to just dedicate your life to the most important thing, which is finding happiness with Krishna. So yeah, just hear and pray and ask Krishna to make it clear, and then it will be clear. But we should hear from many different personalities, many different gurus, senior people, and in this way try to understand who is Krishna directing me towards. We all follow the same process, but we all have our own personalities. And therefore there are many ways to practice spiritual life, even within the Krishna consciousness movement. So you have to find someone who you feel very much connected to in terms of their practice and communication of Krishna consciousness.
I have a few questions. They'll package in one maybe. But how to deal with the reaction of other people, like that you have known before you came to Krishna consciousness, when you tell them about them, because it's a whole other world and it's so difficult to understand. And how did you deal with that? And I was also asking myself, why did your father wanted to sign a contract? Because he said he was brought up in a Hinduist family, so they also believe in Krishna, so I thought they should have been happy for you and they should have agreed with you, so I didn't really understand that.
Yeah. So how do we explain Krishna consciousness or our spiritual path to maybe people who knew us before, who find it very difficult to accept? The first thing is their reaction is quite natural, actually, because they have a relationship with you and they've known you in a certain way, and now they see you changing. And change is difficult for people, so when they see you changing, they feel like maybe they're going to lose their relationship with you. And therefore, it comes out in different ways. Sometimes they're angry, sometimes they say not very nice things, sometimes they're very negative. But actually what's going on in their heart is they're scared they're going to lose a relationship with you. And so the first thing is, when someone, our family, our friends are concerned, I can tell you what not to do, which is what I did do, which is to kind of look down at them, tell them they're wrong, tell them, they should be happy for me, why are they not happy for me, and to become very aggressive. And I think part of the reason my parents had a bad reaction, I have to be honest, it was part of my reaction to them when they expressed concerns. If I had been a little bit more patient, if I had been a little bit more understanding, if I had tried to appreciate the many things they've given me, and if I had taken the time to explain Krishna consciousness to them in a nicer and more patient way, then maybe they would have reacted differently. So, your family, your friends, first thing is it's natural. They're concerned about you. And also because they don't know, they may think you're getting into something dangerous. They're also scared for you. So, somehow or other, we got to remain a little bit normal. It's like, sometimes when we come to spiritual life, we also become a little bit abnormal, and then it's like we create more distance with others. So we got to be relatable. At the same time, if there are challenges where they're actively kind of blocking your spiritual journey, then you may need to see how to deal with that. But on the whole, be patient, be understanding, and try to convince them about Krishna consciousness, not on the basis of philosophy, but on the basis of you becoming a better person. If they see that you have all the knowledge, all the answers, but as a person they don't see better qualities in you, they will not be convinced. But even if you tell them nothing about the philosophy, but they see that by practicing spiritual life you live in a better way, you relate to people in a better way, you're kinder, you're more tolerant, you're more humble. It may take a bit of time, but they will eventually, their heart will be conquered by that. So it's difficult because I'm sure amongst everyone that knows you, there will be maybe some that are more outspoken than others, and some that are more actively blocking your spiritual life than others. That's the reality, we know that. So the general advice I'm giving you, and then in those very more intense situations, then you have to see, according to the situation, how to deal with it. My parents came from an Indian background, they worship Krishna, but they said to me, don't become too religious. It's okay, it's nice on for a few hours a week. That's like a reasonable amount of religion in your life. More than that, So that is the general conception that people have of religion, that it's just another little aspect of your life, or spirituality is just another little aspect. But we're spiritual searchers. We're not just looking to add a little bit. We're trying to find the truth. And so then when we begin to take it on a level of seriousness which other people may not in their life, it becomes scary for them. So, and your mom wants to see you married. She wants to see you have a good job. She wants to see grandchildren. Right? That's like natural. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he took sannyas at age 24, he became a full renunciate. His mother did not agree. And that's the mother of the Supreme Personality of God. It's difficult for parents. I don't know, I'm not a parent, so I don't know what it feels like to have a child. But I can imagine they've seen you for your whole life. They were with you before you were even born. Your mother was with you before you were even born. I mean, that's a long time. So it's like, it's natural. Affection is natural. So we have to be a little bit understanding, a little bit patient. But inside of you, your spiritual journey must continue. But externally, you have to relate in an expert way in order to inspire those around you. It's a difficult balance. But you can find that balance. You were saying that, right, to me, Jay, that the best thing you did was like through your character you found that was having...
With family, yes. That's the best preaching.
Yeah.
It's by behavior. Yes, not by philosophy. It didn't work with my family. To put the philosophy on the table, it didn't work. Only by behavior it started working. Yeah, that is the right path.
I was a good kid when I grew up. Like I never told any lies. I never stayed out late. I never had any arguments with my parents. I never spoke back to them. And then after I came to Krishna consciousness, I started lying to them. I started staying out late. I started speaking back to them. So they're thinking, hang on, you've taken up spirituality, you're becoming a worse person. Like, we have to see it from their point of view. Like, we're on our path. We're on our path and we're moving. But also with others around us, we have to try and see it from their point of view. So somehow you have to balance it. Like, be kind and patient with them, but internally make sure your spiritual journey continues. Balance it. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, I just had, while you were talking, I had a second question come up. What is actually the difference between religion and spirituality? Because you use both words, and I know.
Yeah, I mean, in essence, there's no difference between religion and spirituality. Religion comes from the Latin re ligare. Re means again, and ligare means to connect or to link. So religion literally means that thing which connects you. And spirituality means to connect with the spirit. It's the same thing. So in one sense, religion and spirituality are meant for the same thing. The reason I used it differently is because religion tends to kind of, I guess, be more about the rules, the regulation, the identity, the culture, the institution. And sometimes you can do all of those things and miss the essence of what it's really about. And so spirituality is the essence of religion, you can say, in that sense. So therefore sometimes we say, like Krishna says, abandon all varieties of religion. Because he's referring to religion in the sense of very superficial religion, or ritualistic religion, or religion in which you do so many things but you don't find the essence of the connection with God. So I guess that's the difference between religion and spirituality, although in essence they're supposed to do the same thing.
Yes. Je voulais demander ton avis sur quelque chose. Qu'est-ce que tu en pensais du fait de ne pas être que dans la conscience de Krishna, mais par exemple avoir envie de s'intéresser à la conscience de Krishna, mais en même temps de s'intéresser à d'autres cultures comme le bouddhisme, le taoïsme, plein de choses comme ça, de s'inspirer et de garder la maîtrise de soi par rapport à tout ça, tout en prenant un peu le bon dans tout ça. Et, ce qui nous intéresse pour nous, ce qu'on sent pour nous. Par exemple, toi tu es issu d'une famille qui est d'un courant hindouiste, et donc ça parle beaucoup plus pour toi, mais moi par exemple, je suis intéressé par quelques points de la conscience de Krishna, mais pas surtout, et il y a aussi d'autres choses qui m'intéressent, et j'aime bien mélanger un peu tout. Je voulais avoir ton avis, ce que tu en pensais.
He wants to know what you think about this. He's interested in certain aspects of Krishna consciousness, but not everything. And there are some aspects of Buddhism and Taoism and other cultures that he's interested in. So he's wondering what you think of taking little bits of everything and putting it all together and making your own combo.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being honest, first of all. And I appreciate you being very straightforward about how you feel, and I think that's very, very good. In essence, every religion, every genuine spiritual path is pointing towards the same direction. And so there is truth in all religion. and there are wonderful and beautiful things in all religion. One of our teachers, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that when you go into a church, you should see that here is my same God being worshipped in songs of a different language, in a culture of a different nationality, but with the same heart and devotion. Krishna consciousness does not have a monopoly on spirituality. We do not stand here and say no one outside of these four walls has a connection with God. In fact, I've met people from Muslim background, from Christian background, from Buddhist background, who I can say for sure are more connected than myself. I appreciate them very greatly. So the first point I want to make is that we respect everyone. However, Emilio is coming. In order to make your spiritual connection, you need to follow a process. Right? And every spiritual tradition gives a process. Each process is complete in itself, in its own right. And therefore, if one follows the process of Christianity, they will get. If one follows the process of Krishna consciousness, they will get. The problem when we take from different places is that we may be missing out certain things which are vital elements of the process. If I ask you, on what basis do you accept certain things of one religion and reject other things of a religion? On what basis are you making that decision?
C'est une question que je peux par exemple, dans la conscience de Krishna, j'aime beaucoup la connexion avec le divin, j'aime beaucoup la forme de dévotion en mangeant le prashadam, en dansant. J'aime beaucoup ça. Et par exemple, en prenant une autre religion, par exemple, le bouddhisme, j'aime beaucoup parce que c'est très introspectif. On a l'impression j'ai l'impression que vraiment on travaille des points, mais on ne parle pas de l'âme, on ne parle pas de ça. Et au final, j'ai l'impression que, pour mon point de vue, des fois c'est pas forcément complet. Et j'ai l'impression que si je me dirige dans une religion, je vais voir que ça et j'aurai pas du coup une ouverture plus grande. Voilà. Sorry.
So in Krishna consciousness, he likes the aspect that we connect with the divine through prasadam, through dancing and singing. But in Buddhism, he also likes the introspection and the fact that you're really trying to work on yourself. And he's afraid that if you choose one path, then you become narrow-minded and you can't see everything and you maybe miss out on certain things.
Again, I think there's truth in what you're saying. We in Krishna consciousness, like I read into different religions also, and I feel nourished by their insights. For example, recently I was reading of a practice of Christian monks called Lectio Divina. I don't know if you ever heard of it. But this is a spiritual practice of Christian monks where they read one sentence from one of their scriptures and then they go into a deep meditation trying to understand and uncover and go into a deeper meaning. And their reading becomes like a meditation. And so I was reading about that and I thought, wow, we can do that in Krishna consciousness as well. So there's no problem with taking from different traditions and being inspired by that But what I'm saying is that if you want a process to work, then you need to follow the elements of that process, some of which may be natural, some of which may be difficult, and some of which may be challenging also. There's a proverb in Bengali, and basically it's like this. There was once a chicken, and the chicken was laying many eggs, and the owner was very happy. But the owner was not happy because the other side of the chicken, the mouth, was also eating a lot. So he said, well, I just want the eggs. And the other side is just taking. So I'll just cut off the head. So he cut off the head, and cut off the head means no eggs. So you just have to be careful of that. That in a process, you don't just try to take the things that are natural, beneficial, and which come very easily to you, and neglect the things that are challenging, difficult, or force you to kind of adapt yourself. If you're able to embrace both aspects, then you'll achieve a bigger evolution in your spiritual life. And following the entire practice of Krishna consciousness doesn't mean that you can't learn from other traditions. You can. And you don't have to become narrow-minded. In fact, you should become more broad-minded. I'm giving you this quote by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who says, when you go in the church, you should see. This is also bona fide spirituality.
Ok. Est-ce que je peux te dire une phrase par phrase? Ok. Ok, d'accord. Ok. Mais je pense que c'est le processus, par exemple, pour une personne comme moi.
So he thinks of the process for someone like him.
Pour une personne comme moi, c'est il va être plus long, j'ai l'impression, parce que par exemple, j'avais une vie très matérielle avant. Je suis pas allé dans une famille spirituelle.
He feels like it will take longer for him because he had a very materialistic life before. He wasn't brought up in a spiritual family at all.
J'ai développé des défauts dans le monde, dans le milieu spirituel, et donc du coup le processus pour que j'arrive à une certaine illumination peut être beaucoup plus long qu'une personne comme toi par exemple qui était, comme tu disais hier, de nature assez simple, née avec 2 parents hindouistes.
And in his mature life he's developed lots of bad qualities, so he feels like the process would take a lot longer for him than it did for you, for example, because you had like a Hindu upbringing.
Et comment dire, et donc du coup, pour toi, tu cherches directement ça, et pour toi l'objectif est certainement la réussite de ce processus dans la conscience de Krishna. Mais moi par exemple, je me rends compte que c'est très intéressant, j'ai écouté tout ce que tu as dit, les étapes que tu veux passer, le processus qu'il y a pour arriver jusqu'à l'illumination.
So for you it's very clear that you want to go to the highest goal directly.
Et pour moi, je me rends compte que c'est très inspirant, ok, mais par exemple, je suis plus aspiré par l'immensité de la vie, toutes les opportunités. À un moment, je peux être dans une philosophie et du jour au lendemain, je peux remettre tout en question ce que je pense et être dans une autre et toujours.
But for him it's more inspiring to be able to look at everything and be immersed in one philosophy and then from one day to the next just completely change your mind and question everything again.
Oui, et pour moi, cet objectif, c'est peut-être pas l'élimination, mais d'une certaine façon, j'aurais pu m'imprégner de beaucoup de philosophie, de voir comment me mettre dans la peau des gens de plusieurs façons. Puis je pense qu'au bout d'un moment, je trouverai ma voie, mais je pense que suivre un processus pour des personnes qui sont nées par exemple en Europe, où c'est un endroit qui n'est pas spirituel. Suivre ce processus, c'est très difficile parce que ça ne nous parle pas. C'est très compliqué de se connecter à ça. Et moi, je le sens.
Attends. J'ai oublié ce qu'il a dit. So he's maybe not looking for the goal of enlightenment. He's more inspired by bathing in all sorts of philosophies and trying out everything, and then maybe eventually finding a path. But at the moment, he just wants to try everything and not commit to it.
That's absolutely fine. You don't have to pressure yourself to be like committed. Explore. No problem. No problem.
There is no problem.
Explore, see. Even Krishna says to Arjuna, think about what I've said. Think about what I've said. And then you have to make a decision according to your mind. So, I think you're an intelligent person, you're searching for, your natural spiritual inclination, and all of us require different things. All I'm saying is that be careful of taking the things that are natural and easy. Also challenge yourself in spirituality. And my second thing would be that you want to experience something spiritual, not just know about something spiritual. Yeah, like some people know about God and some people know God. Right? We don't want to just know about God. We want to know God. We want to experience God. We want to feel connection. And for that it requires a process. So the only second point I would say to you is that in all your searching, also try to experience and practice something. Because then you will feel, you will come to more conclusions through that. But yes, Krishna consciousness, if you feel that you need to, you can, maybe you've read Radhanath Swami's book, Journey Home. Maybe you can give to Prabhu.
J'avais parlé de ce livre. J'étais parlé de ce livre plusieurs fois.
Oui, j'ai un peu du mal avec le sanskrit, j'ai pas dû retenir ce livre. C'est ouais.
So Radhanath Swami went traveling all the way overland from Europe to India. He stopped in many places. He stopped in places where people were practicing Islam, places where people were practicing Christianity. He went through India and met many yogis, and he learned many things from all of them. And eventually he found his path. So if you feel like you need to go on a journey, no problem. Because we can't tell you, practice Krishna consciousness, you have to do it. We're going to lock the door.
Yes, mais yes, je suis d'accord avec toi.
Follow your calling, no problem. Follow your calling.
Ok.
And
c'est ce que je vais faire.
Always take prasadam.
Yes. C'est ce que je vais faire, mais quand j'entends ça de ta bouche, c'est agréable, mais des fois, quand j'entends d'autres personnes, j'ai l'impression que c'est que cette façon dont tu es heureux, et les gens parlent avec beaucoup de subjectivité, et du coup, c'est des fois, c'est avec beaucoup de personnes qui sont, je pense que c'est pas que dans la présence de Krishna, c'est avec beaucoup de personnes qui dédient leur vie à une religion, et donc du coup des fois ça bloque parce qu'on dit non, c'est que comme ça que tu peux être heureux, et moi ça me bloque, alors que je pense qu'il y a beaucoup de façons comme tu disais, c'est immense les possibilités pour trouver ton chemin.
So yes, that's what he's going to do. He wants to go and explore, and he's very happy to hear you saying that. But there's many other people in Krishna consciousness, but also other only like this you can be happy, you have to do this, don't do anything else, and that really blocks him and then he doesn't want to do it so much.
We all practice spiritual life and we have our realizations, we have our experiences, and some of us will share those experiences with you and say, this is the highest. Yeah, I'm sitting before you here today and I can also tell you Krishna consciousness is the highest, according to my experience. But I think hearing you have to go on your journey. So, as I said, even in the Krishna consciousness movement, there are many individuals. And maybe another speaker sitting here would tell you, no, Krishna consciousness is the way. But I don't feel that I should say that to you. Because I feel that you exploring and with your good heart and with your sincerity, ultimately you'll come to the truth that you're looking for. But you must be sincere. You must be looking for the truth. That's the only thing. We shouldn't be looking for some immediate benefit or something that's easy or something that makes us feel good, because those things may not lead you to the truth. So if you're sincere and you're ready to embrace even something which forces you to come out of your comfort zone to experience, then you'll find the truth.
Thank you.
But this was my answer, and another devotee might say to me, how could you say that answer to him? I'm ready for someone to say that, but this is my heart. I'm speaking my heart to you. So, and I'm not saying that you will go somewhere else and be dissatisfied. I think you will go other places and find great spirituality there. And I think maybe all of those experiences will build up and bring you to what you're really looking for. So, it's wonderful. It's a journey. But maybe you can give him Journey Home. That would be a really good book for you to read. The Journey Home by Radhanath Swami.
It's in English.
It's not in French?
Not in French? Not in French?
Oh, it's not in French.
Oh. In the future, it's translated.
Oh, you learn English.
Yes, well, I learn English, it's more simple. Thank you for your response. Yes. Moi je vais le faire en français. Non, je vais essayer. I try in English. Just not question, just really you. I like you. Really. I ask you it for you because I have impression you have example for consciousness for Krishna, because you don't just practice the ritual, you practice the philosophy and you live philosophy, and we feel that, all the people feel that, and when you tell all the people, yes, he embrace conscience for Krishna, and yes, you are beautiful people, yes, I like, thank you.
And one last thing I'll say on what you said, that you were mentioning you have many bad habits or a different upbringing to me. All of us come to spiritual life with certain strengths and certain weaknesses. I'm not sure where you live, but you've left many things behind to come and live in a monastery. How old are you?
21.
21, right? So okay, I did also 21, but maybe you were earlier than me. So you made a big sacrifice. So you were ready to take a risk. That means you have some sincerity, you're searching. So you come with your own strengths. So anyone who comes to spiritual life already has many experiences from previous lives. So it's not just this life and what's happened, you've gained many things from previous lives as well, and now you're just picking up. So don't underestimate how much you have. Yeah, you can do it.
Can I ask one last question? As you see, there is many people interested by your lessons and by you, I mean, as teacher. And we are wondering if you are giving some courses, or you have a page or something like we can, I don't know, something like this?
Yes, we. So I can give the details maybe to Gandharvika.
Okay,
and
nice.
there's like a website and some lectures you can listen to. And
How long are you staying here?
we're leaving tomorrow.
No, no.
Yeah, we're leaving tomorrow morning, but we hope to be back maybe in the new year at some point. We hope all of
January.
you will be here. Yeah, so yeah, there are many wonderful devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement. So you can hear also on the internet from many. Yeah, you all are like really inspiring to us. We were just talking the other day about how all of you add so much to the atmosphere of New Mayapur. You bring so much energy, bring so much love and community and warmth. Yeah, I'm sure you'll look back at these days, you know, maybe 10 years from now, 15 years from now, and you'll have very beautiful memories. Yes.
Because I met a man in the street, and he was actually passing by bus near the place where we were distributing books. And when he saw us in orange, he like immediately got out of the bus in the next station, and he came to meet us, and he came to speak with me. So 30 years ago, in 1980, he was in Mayapur. He was here for only 3 weeks, 40 years ago. And you remind this as the best moments of his life. And I could see that he meant what he was speaking. The joy that he emphasizes in his words. And he was here for 3 weeks. And he said, well, then they asked me to shave. And I was not ready. But, I mean, just to the point that 10 years later you will look back and you will smile. Well, even 40 years later, you will look back and you will smile. You know, and he's very eager to come back and to associate with the devotee. He's been trying to contact me, and I've been trying to meet him. Because it left such a mark, an imprint in his heart. So this Krishna consciousness is something very deep and very touching to the soul. Even some little service that we do with sincerity, Krishna will keep an eye on us from there.
You all are very dear to us, whether you shave your head or not, whether you put on a sari or not. We're not here to make you into a religious robot. We're here to have friendship and help each other to find ourselves. And whatever we share, we're just sharing from whatever experience we have. And we're happy for you to find yourself. You know, that's the goal of life. That's the goal of life. So, yeah, we hope that you don't feel pressured like that. That's not really not the purpose. And some devotees may say like that to you out of their like eagerness, their great care and concern for you. They may sometimes say something that feels a little uncomfortable. They don't mean like that. They want you to be happy, and they maybe have a certain idea. I get to tell you one story. Once I was in London, and I was distributing books. It was very, very cold, like -5 Celsius, like very cold. So as I was on the street giving out books to people, one old lady came to me. So she said, "Who are you and what are you doing?" I said, "I'm a monk and we give out spiritual knowledge." And her jaw dropped. She said, "That is amazing." She was like half my height. So she was and then she said, "I'm Christian." And then from her heart, she was saying, "You should be a Christian. Jesus is the only way." But she said it, I could see she was saying it from her heart. I didn't feel like it was like someone fanatic. Yeah? But she was telling me very straight, Jesus is the only way. If you surrender to Jesus, you'll find happiness. Otherwise, you'll have a very dark future. Like, she was saying very heavy things. But I felt it was from her heart. So I said, I looked at her. Said, "Thank you. I appreciate your devotion. Somehow this is my truth. I found it." So she kind of left me with like, I could see there was almost a tear in her eye. Anyway, then she walked off. After 15 minutes, she came back and she sat on the bench. Okay, in -5. And she was looking at me. So I continued distributing books for about 5 hours. And she sat there for 5 hours. I could see she was still sitting there, but I didn't go. Then I packed my book box. I was walking off the street. As I was walking away, she came running to me. And she said, "You're an amazing person. You're doing so much for God. I have to give you one thing." And from her bag, she had brought like a Bible from the shop, a deluxe Bible. It was a very nice book, actually. And she said, "I want to give you this. Please read it." And in that moment, I thought to myself, I've been standing out here for 6 hours giving books to all of these people, but I never gave one book to any one of those people with the level of compassion, care, and concern that she gave that book to me. And as I walked away, I realized Krishna was telling me, have the compassion of that lady. Some people love to preach, but more important than that is to love the people you preach to. And so, although what she said was very, like, in one sense, very heavy, I understood the language of her heart. And I realized I have to learn many things from her. So we can learn from everyone. You know, she taught me about compassion that day. I would never sit on a bench for 5 hours to give a book to someone who didn't want it. But she had that compassion.
Did you give her a book?
Wow.
Did I give her a book?
Did you give her
No, she wasn't willing to take a book somehow. But I took the Bible. I did take it. I didn't read it. I have read parts of the Bible. So, there are spiritual people everywhere. And Yeah, so I guess that's why I told you that story, and the other reason I told you that story is just to show that even though someone's language may be in a certain way, behind it there is heart, there is concern. And so sometimes even devotees, they may say very strong things, but there's a heart. Anyone else? Questions? Yes.
I have maybe 2 questions.
Yeah.
So, as we go deeper with japa, with devotional life, our consciousness becomes more subtle, and situations that were previously very pleasant become very disturbing. I'm just wondering if you have any advice about how to deal with being more sensitive and still kind of, where do you prioritize keeping a state of consciousness that you achieve through your spiritual practices, but also being I think my second question was...
Okay, let me just do that one first. When you become more spiritual, you become more sensitive, but simultaneously you become stronger. Both things are there. One English writer says, peace is not an absence of chaos, but peace is the presence of God in every situation. And so, as you become more connected to Krishna, as you become more connected in your spiritual consciousness, you do become more sensitive, but because you are able to bring spiritual knowledge, spiritual realization, spiritual strength, you realize the sensitivity around you, you're sensitive to it, but you're simultaneously empowered with strength. And so both things should actually come. And in that way, you can remain unaffected. So, yes, have you experienced that? That you also have strength? Yeah. You can perceive a situation, like sometimes you can perceive people's emotions, you can perceive negativity, you can perceive things more, but also because you've got Krishna consciousness, you're able to respond to it through a different lens. You know? So in that sense you have, you see, like here's a cup, and if I put a fistful of salt in this cup, then the water becomes very salty. You can taste it. Now if we fill this entire room with water and I pour a fistful of salt, practically you would not feel the effect, because the vastness of the water absorbs it. So similarly, your consciousness, when you become spiritual, becomes oceanic. And therefore, although you know the salt is coming in, you're sensitive to that. The vastness of your consciousness absorbs it and practically means that it remains unaffected. So we have to become deep. We have to become deep in our awareness of life, awareness of everything. That depth must come. Yeah. So. And your second?
Yes, my second question was just, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how your experience was with japa, like with that purification process, with kind of becoming closer to Krishna through japa, and how that kind of unfolded for you.
Sometimes people ask me if I ever had any I was in Paris and Revati Nandan in the middle of the night wakes me up and says, "Do you ever see Krishna? Do you ever see Krishna?" At this time in the night. I never saw Krishna. Not yet. One devotee said, "I've never seen Krishna's face, but I see Krishna's hands every day." You may not see Krishna's face, but you see Krishna's arrangements going on every day, if you're sensitive. Japa, I can share with you like my most, not most, but the experience I have of japa, which really, I guess, gives me a lot of faith in japa and the holy name. In the Gita, Krishna mentions in one verse, "Brahma bhuta prasannatma na sochati na kamshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param." Krishna says, when one reaches the level of Brahman, the level of spiritual realization, na sochati, na kamshati, they have no lamentation and they have no hankering. Lamentation means absorption in the past, and hankering means absorption in the future. And therefore, one who reaches a spiritual level almost immediately comes into the present. Now, practically, the whole world is not able to live in the present. Why are we not able to live in the present? Because we're not satisfied with the present. We feel some lacking in the present, and therefore we're always looking back or we're always looking forward. You know, like I was explaining, it's like, you ever watch one of those movies where the sound is dubbed? So it's like the person speaking and there's a delay on the sound. So it's like they're speaking and then you kind of hear the sound later. It's like so annoying that you can't watch a movie like that because it's all out of sync. It's not synchronized. And sometimes our life is like that. We're moving, but our thoughts are like a few little bit back, or our thoughts are like a little bit forward, and we're never like completely aligned. My strong experience with japa is that when you connect with the holy name, you immediately can come into the present. And I've never experienced anything in life like that, where you just immediately, the past disappears, the future disappears, and you're just there. And that gives me a lot of faith in japa, because it gives me the faith that through this process you can actually connect with God. Because it's only that spiritual connection that can bring you completely into the present. And therefore, I've experienced that many, many times. Not every day. Some days I'm falling asleep. But I've experienced that. It's very powerful. And you almost feel that you could just remain. And I've never experienced like anything like that in life. So I think that's one of the greatest things that gives me faith in japa. Like, in terms of the experience while doing japa. But then I find a lot of experience of japa comes from the rest of my day after I chant well. I can see a change in my consciousness, in my relationships, in my quality of response to whatever happens in life. And I can only put it down to good chanting. So, as we chant better and better, then you will see that all your strength, all your inspiration, all your enthusiasm, all your good qualities come from Krishna, which ultimately comes from connecting with Krishna through japa. So, these are the kind of experiences that I've personally had. Yeah. Krishna didn't appear yet, but many other things which for me are very strong indications that Krishna is there. But it's a practice, and some days are good, some days are challenging. It's like that. You can't chant also to try and get an experience. If you chant to try to get an experience of Krishna, Krishna hides. So you have to chant with sincerity or longing to be with Krishna, serve Krishna.
Isn't the spiritual master a manifestation of Krishna? Or
yeah, Krishna is appearing to us in many, many different ways, yes.
is that then Krishna, or is the spiritual master is two different separate, or is really Krishna standing there in the form of the spiritual master?
But the spiritual master is not Krishna. The spiritual master is the representative of Krishna.
Okay.
But Krishna is in the heart of the spiritual master. And so Krishna is also there. So,
may I ask you a question related to spiritual master? For example, if in past lives we have taken a spiritual master, because we are seeing Jani Prabhu say, life after life. So I've asked this question, but I've not fully understand it, because like.
So is it the same spiritual master that comes to you life after life?
Yeah, well, we are
been
transferred
wondering
from
on
one
that
spiritual
also.
master and one path of devotion.
Yeah. The standard understanding, as I've read from Shastra, from scripture, is that the spiritual master can deliver in two ways. Either he can deliver by directly coming, or he can deliver by sending a representative. And so the person who comes to help you in this life may not necessarily be your eternal spiritual master, but they are a representative, and in one sense, the Vedic aphorism says Guru is one. So actually Guru is one in the sense that the one Guru appears in many, many different ways in order to help the disciple. So these are somewhat inconceivable subject matters, but yeah. So we don't, it's hard to know. It's hard to know.
How to love Krishna always more.
Love means service. One devotee once said a nice thing to me, and I think it was very, very apt. He said, I don't know how much I love Krishna, but I love to serve Krishna. I fell in love with devotional service. I fell in love with selfless seva. If you fall in love with service, you'll find love. Everything comes from service. So, if we become very enthusiastic to serve Krishna, to serve the Vaishnavas, to serve Srila Prabhupada, to serve without calculation. Some days we have good days, and some days we're a bit grumpy, like, no, I'm not going to do that. But the more we become more and more open-hearted in our desire to serve, then through service, love comes. So, we may sometimes think, I have no love for Krishna. But if we learn to fall in love with devotional service, then everything will come from that.
do you deepen your relationship with your spiritual master?
The greatest gift that the spiritual master gives us is his instructions or her instructions. And so the more we honor that, the more we follow those instructions, the more we take those instructions into our heart and really try to fulfill those desires of the spiritual master, then we will have a much closer connection. Because the spiritual master knows exactly what you need. They know what you need. And everyone needs something different. And so when the spiritual master gives instructions, they're giving you the key. And if you take that key and you put it into the lock and you turn it, then it opens the door and you can walk into the spiritual world. So those instructions are very important. That's the kind of question you could answer in different ways on different days. But today that's how I got inspired to answer it. Yeah.
I'm taking my chance because you're leaving tomorrow. So it's a bit of a long question, but the more I think about it, the more I'm getting... It's kind of the same question every time. So Krishna is Rishikesh, he's the master of the senses. And when he comes to the arena of Kamsa, he appears differently to different people there. And to some you say he appears as Brahman, he appears as Paramatma, he appears as Bhagavan. And if you ask if even the power of me perceiving something is depending on him, and the way that he shows himself is ever changing according to each individual's desire, is there something such as reality that we share together, or is it because it's really depending on how we want to see Krishna, and he's the absolute truth? So is there, how to say, it's changing according to each person's desire, so is there
the defined
yeah.
Okay. I'll say something, I don't know if it will answer your question. If I've missed the question, you can tell me. Well, Krishna says in the Gita, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tamstateva bhajamyaham mam vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvasha. Krishna says, as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So it is not so much that your desire is creating a certain vision of Krishna. What your desire is doing is that by your desire, Krishna is observing your desire, and then he's manifesting himself in a certain way. So Krishna, you can't do anything without Krishna's help. So if someone wants to see Krishna in a certain way, then Krishna in the heart manifests himself in that way. You can't even be an atheist without Krishna's help. That's an interesting one. I never thought about that. If you want to be an atheist, you need Krishna's help. Because Krishna, what he'll do is he'll supply you with the intelligence to so-called explain himself out of the whole equation of the material world. That's amazing. So, it's not, there is reality, but Krishna is Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam. Krishna has Ananta Rupam. He has unlimited forms. And therefore he can reciprocate with the unlimited desires of every living entity. So yeah, if someone wants to see Krishna in a certain way, then Krishna fulfills.
I'm asking because if you go to school and you study a bit of physics, science, whatever, and they explain to you the world works like this and like that, and if you do this, this will happen, and we know how the world functions, and it gives agency in some ways because you know that okay, the world is like this and I can do this and that. But if I cannot do anything without Krishna's mercy, and he can manifest the world in different ways to different individuals, then I won't have power over anything. It's just I depend completely on him because there's no. He can change how I perceive the world, and he can also change the world that I'm perceiving. And it's,
Is that a belief also to the free will aspect?
Yeah. So this is what Krishna can change, but he does not interfere with your free will. So the fact that your free will is given by Krishna doesn't mean that Krishna is controlling your free will. So it's like, say, I was giving this example to Joe, that imagine someone is in prison, and then the prison officer says, okay, today you're free. Then the freedom is given by the prison officer, but what that person then decides to do in the world is decided by that person. It's not that because the prison officer gave the free will, he's now controlling everything he's doing out there. No. So Krishna's like that. He gives free will, and then that free will is yours. Krishna never takes that away. And with that free will, whatever you desire, whatever you want, ultimately, yes, you need Krishna's help. But even materialists need Krishna's help. Everyone needs Krishna's help, because Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham ridi sanivishto mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha. I'm situated in everyone's heart, and I give the necessary knowledge, remembrance and forgetfulness in order for them to function. That doesn't mean because Krishna is giving us all of those things that he's controlling our experience. Because Krishna is responding to free will. So he's like the prison officer. He's nicer than a prison officer. But he gives you free will, but then doesn't interfere.
So what is free will? What is this thing?
Free will is the... I don't think we need to overcomplicate it. Free will is the opportunity to make decisions and decide your direction in life. That's it.
I don't like it. That's just
Free will is your independent desire to decide where you want to invest your heart. That's what it is.
But how free can be this will if at the end, if we forget Krishna, we come here far from him. If this free will will be really free, would be really free, we could be like in this spiritual dimension, so happy, but not caring less,
Okay, so let me try to understand. What you're saying is that on one hand, Krishna gives us free will. Just let me understand whether I'm understanding your question. Are you saying Krishna gives us free will, but then when we use that free will in a certain way, then Krishna fixes us up into some miserable situation?
In the Bhagavad Gita says, don't matter what you do, at the end remember me, and everything will be fine. I agree with that. I can do whatever I want in this life, but at the end I remember him, I will go back. But there is a condition you need to think about. There is no free will there. Because he doesn't say, do whatever you want, you came back after. He says, remember me. So what if we don't remember him? We stay here in this circle, in this samsara again and again.
No, but what Krishna says in the Gita repeatedly is, he uses the Sanskrit words Isto si me dridam iti. That is my opinion. So Krishna says, this is my supreme instruction, it's my opinion. If at the end of life you remember me, you'll come to me. If you remember something else, you'll go there. So that's not forcing you, that's just telling you what the consequences of reposing your free will in different ways will result in.
But then it's not free because you have consequences. If this will be really free, not matter what you do, you will go the same
Free
point.
will doesn't mean the free will to decide all of your results. Free will means the ability to make decisions. Now, so I understand your point. So why does Krishna ascribe certain results to certain decisions?
Mm-hmm.
That's basically your point, because it's like he's fixing it.
Yes.
Because ultimately Krishna wants you to find the real happiness. It's like a parent has a child, right? And the child is like super kind of...
Child of the parent.
The child. The child is like super independent, wants to go on some destructive path, and the parent realizes like, I can't do anything to control this child. So then the parent at one point just has to say like, okay, do what you need to do. But in the background, the parent is still making all kinds of arrangements because the parent knows what will ultimately be good for that child. You can't say that, oh, well, if you saw a parent like that and the parent just said, okay, well, it's up to you. And then the parent started making like arrangements. You wouldn't go up to the parent and say, well, what kind of parent are you? You haven't really given free will to your child because you're still trying to, No, we would see that's a great intention. That's a great exhibition of love. You understand my analogy?
Kind of. No,
Okay, say it's like this. Say the child wants to do something really deviant, which is obviously going to be destructive. Okay? And the parent knows, I have to give free will. So then the parent says, okay, do what you need to do. But in the background, the parent is making some other arrangement to ensure that the child doesn't get into too much problem. Would we look at that parent and say, that is not a nice thing to do? Or would we think, wow, that's a real parent, that's great love? So Krishna is like that. Yes, he says to Arjuna, do what you want to do. But then at the same time, Krishna continues to make arrangements by which we can ultimately find our spiritual connection with him. And the most amazing thing is, just in case you think Krishna is like an attention seeker who wants everyone to worship him, who wants everyone to be focused on him. Think about me, bow down to me, worship me. At the end, by my grace, you'll come to me. You may get into like a feeling that Krishna is really like, my God, he needs a lot of attention. Actually, the devotee experiences more happiness than even Krishna in that relationship. And therefore Krishna becomes a devotee to experience what it feels like to worship God. Once I was on a train actually, it was in France. And I don't understand French, but I could understand what was happening. There was a mother and there was a child, and the mother gave the child a chocolate. And the child took it, opened it and ate it. And the mother started looking at the child and said like, aren't you going to thank me? Aren't you going to say, like I could see she was... Now, does the mother need to be thanked? Is the mother like so insecure that no, oh my God, I didn't get the gratitude? Does the mother really need it? No, the mother doesn't need it. So why is she telling the child that why didn't you thank me? Why didn't you show your gratitude? Why is she telling the child?
Teaching him politeness.
And why does he want to teach the child politeness?
To be a great human being.
To be a great human being, to have the ability to have great relationships with people, because the mother knows that if they develop that sensitivity, they'll feel more happiness. So when Krishna says, worship me, bow down to me, thank me, it's not because Krishna is like some insecure person. But it's because Krishna is saying, if you develop this sensitivity within you, if you develop this spiritual connection within you, then every other aspect of your life you'll find deep fulfillment. Does that make sense? Kind of.
Yes. I'm still not sure what is exactly free will, but that makes complete sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Krishna gives us free will, and then if we use that free will in a certain way, we end up in the material world kind of miserable. It's like, that is true. That's true. Why does Krishna do that? Because he's more concerned about us than we are.
But maybe we were so happy in the spiritual platform that we wanted to experience some pain.
Yeah. No.
It's like somewhat of an inconceivable point.
You don't want to go swimming with pigs.
I mean, I don't know, does anyone else have any reflection on Nico's question? I mean, that's as much as I could say on it. I mean, Krishna is, he loves us too much to kind of just say like, okay, well, like he doesn't want us to be like eternally in illusion in the material world. That's too painful for Krishna. So he has to set up some kind of mechanism to bring you back without interfering with your free will. Supposedly. So yes, maybe we don't have complete free will.
How to forgive?
Depends how you see it. Yes.
Sorry. How to forgive ourselves?
Forgive ourselves.
That's deep.
I'm still trying to come to terms with the fact that I've done anything wrong. Fine, you know, like I ain't done anything. It's quite. We forgive ourselves because Krishna forgives us. Krishna is always looking for the good. In anything we do, there's an action and there's an intention. And if you look at Krishna, he always tries to find something good. Like say for example, can you think of a story in Shastra where someone did an act which was supposedly very nice towards Krishna, but the intention was very bad?
Putana.
Great, Putana. She offered, oh Krishna, drink my milk. An action that was very nice, but the intention was kill Krishna. What happened to Putana?
Liberated.
She got liberated. Krishna said, no, whatever the intention was, the act was good. Can you think of a story in Shastra where the act was supposedly unfavorable to Krishna, but the intention was very good? What about when Krishna went to the house of Vidura?
Oh yeah, the banana.
And his wife was so excited that she started peeling a banana
Oh.
and threw away the banana and gave the banana skin to Krishna. So tomorrow on Govinda Madhava's plate, if you would see a banana skin, you'd be like... But Krishna forgot about the action of a banana skin and said the intention, amazing. Krishna is amazing. Whatever you do, he tries to find something good. He's so forgiving, and he's... So if we're followers of Krishna, then we'll be in the same mood. And therefore we'll see, yes, I have many faults. Yes, I've made mistakes. Yes. But I also did many nice things in my life, not because I'm anyone great, but because I was connected to great people. And because of that, we can learn to forgive ourselves, and we can be hopeful that things can improve. So Krishna is always looking for some good. So we should also look for some good within ourselves.
How to do that?
It's heartwarming.
That's why we need friends. Because good friends can help you to see. I was with Gopaswami Prabhu today, and he told me, I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this, but he told me that one time he felt so bad that he was crying, and he felt, I have no love for Krishna, I'm not going anywhere, I'm not advancing, and he packed his bags, and he said, I took a train to Paris, and I was just going to say, so he met the devotee in Paris, he said, that's it, I'm done, I'm not improving, I feel I don't have any love for Krishna. And he said, I've been crying all night. I hope he don't repeat this thing. And then the devotee just started speaking to him, and the devotee, and then somehow when he was speaking to the devotee, saying all his bad things, he says, and then Gopaswami just said but I like to serve Krishna. And then as soon as he said that, he said it was almost as though Krishna within him impelled him to say that. And he said, but I like to serve Krishna. And immediately he stopped, the devotee stopped, and it was one of those moments where there was immediately hope. He said, you like to serve Krishna? That's amazing. You like to stay here and serve Krishna and everything will be okay. And it was just that one thing, and it turned around. So yes, we feel we're falling short. Maybe we're not changing as fast as we'd like to change. Maybe some envy, jealousy, and ego comes out, and we look at ourselves and we think, oh my God, I still have all these things in my heart. It takes time, but we should see the good. Therefore, don't always see how far you have to go, but also see how far you've already come. Yeah? Try to remember that. Sometimes we're so focused on the ideal and how far away I am from the ideal. But also take some time to look back in your life and think, oh my God, how much improvement I have made. And then when you see the distance that you still have to go in the context of the distance that you've already come, then you start beginning to think, you know what? Maybe it's possible. Because the process works.
Yes, the video Agni Dev is saying the same. He's quoting Vishnu Jamswai, and he's saying, Vishnu Chan is saying, the distance we have made before we meet our Gurudev, it's far greater than the distance we are still left to do. So just have some patience. This request. The distance is short, which is left. Be patient.
Yeah.
a different point.
Sometimes I show this one, it's a funny video. It's a video of like all these marathon runners who are like, they're on the final lap and they're ahead. And then like they're just like reaching to the running, like the finish line, but you know, they start like, even before they're finished. I'm good. And then the guy trips up or something, and then the other guy overtakes him at the end. And the reason I showed that is to show that sometimes we're actually right at the end. We're on like the final lap. This is it. Sometimes we think I'm only beginning in Krishna consciousness. In one sense that's true, but in another sense, like Jai was saying, quoting Vishnu Chan Maharaj, that we've been through a lot to get to where we are, here, sitting here at Prabhupada's lotus feet. And in one sense, we're on the final lap. They're ringing the bell. It's the final lap, and it's like we can get a little bit mental on the final lap. You know, it's like, no, don't blow it now. You know. So we've come so far. We've come so far. Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Brahmande, Brahmite, Guna Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai, Bhakti Lata Beach. How many universes, how many life forms, how many chapters of existence did we go through before we met a bona fide spiritual teacher? It was a hell of a journey. So we're right there, and stay in the caravan. Stay in the caravan. So, oh my God, it's getting late. I'll tell you this funny story. In Bangladesh, there was some kind of civil problems going on, so they would have a curfew where no one could travel after. Actually, we even had it here in the lockdown, right? You couldn't drive after 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was the Sunday feast, and everyone had eaten way too much, and it had gone past the time when they could travel back to their temple. But they really wanted to get back to their temple. So this one, they said, we got one of our vehicles is like an ambulance. We bought it from the ambulance company. So they said, well, we'll just go in that vehicle because we'll pretend we're just an ambulance, and then no one will stop us. So they, two of them got in the front, and then one of them who had done the most overeating, he went in the back. So they began driving, and then as they were driving, the police sirens came. So, oh no, the police have come. So then the police pulled them over. It's like all these devotees in an ambulance. So the police look in the front, and they're like, already they're like suspicious. Like, are you guys really ambulance drivers? Like, it's been strange, like who? So somehow the two guys in the front, they just got the inspiration. Just look, you go like that. Look in the back. So what happened is these two policemen, what they did is they opened the back door. Now this devotee, he had overeaten, and as he had left the temple, the devotees had given him like 2 garlands. So basically the police opened the door, and this guy was in the back of the ambulance like this with 2 garlands around him. So they just thought, oh my God. So they opened it, they thought, oh my God, it's a dead body. Just close the door. Okay, get out of here. You guys are for real, man. We thought you were like a hoax. It's like it's a real ambulance with a dead person in the back. And then they just drove on. And I guess the teaching is, even if you're in the Krishna, you can overeat a little bit, get the prasadam, get the garlands, conk out in the back of the ambulance, but just stay in the vehicle, and you'll go. So Yeah, we're going to stay in Krishna consciousness. Well, as one devotee used to say to me, spiritual life is difficult, but material life is impossible. However difficult the spiritual path sometimes feels, at least it's a path which goes somewhere. Material life, you're just going to hit dead ends, just going to hit roadblocks, you're not going to go anywhere. So,
my spiritual master, Guru Prasad Swami Maharaj, say about this something. He say, we are in the material world just working 8 hours just for eating and have a roof, So for the spiritual life, we have to work more because it's something very, very important. It's I don't know if you see the relation. When it's very valuable, very important. So, okay, it's hard, but we have to do more and more. In the material world, we are happy to work 8 hours. It's normal, but no, it's terrible. No? So now we have to work 86 hours one day. I don't know. It's like, yes.
Yes. So be kind to yourself as well. Discipline yourself and be kind to yourself, and realize that we receive so much grace in our life from great personalities, and that grace will carry us. Okay, I held you long enough. Thank you so much for your association. And, thank you for staying so late. Hare Krishna, glories to Prabhupada. Vaishnav Seva, Vaishnav Sangha ki Jai. Prabhupada ki Jai.
And what time are you leaving tomorrow?